I spent 3 hours scrubbing the thick black mud of the Albufera wetlands off my hands. I had just helped my best friend bury a man wrapped in a carpet. I did it because Leo told me he killed him in self-defense. I did it because we were brothers. But 5 days later, the man I supposedly buried walked into my bar and ordered a beer. I watched him drink it, the condensation dripping down the glass. And that's when the cold realization hit me. If the victim was standing right in front of me, then who the hell did I just put in the ground? Before we dig up the truth, and it is uglier than you can imagine, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. We unravel the darkest criminal confessions every week. Turn on notifications so you never miss the moment the lie falls apart. My name is Javi. I'm 28 years old and I own a small tapas bar near the port of Valencia. It's a respectable place, or at least I tried hard to make it one. I was the guy who paid his taxes, swept the sidewalk and looked after his family. But everyone has a weakness. Mine was Leo. We grew up on the same block. Leo was the flame-bright, charismatic, impossible to ignore. I was the moth. He got into trouble. I got him out. That was the unwritten contract of our friendship. He broke things. I fixed them. I told myself it was loyalty. Now I know it was just a habit, a toxic rhythm I couldn't dance out of. It started on a humid Tuesday night in August. The air in Valencia was thick enough to chew. I had just closed the bar when my phone buzzed. It was Leo. He didn't say hello. He was hyperventilating. Javi, you have to come now, behind the old warehouse in El Cabañal. I messed up bad, Javi. He's dead. I didn't ask who. I didn't call the police. I just grabbed my van keys. When I got there, Leo was pacing, his shirt torn, shaking like a leaf. On the ground, wrapped in a heavy rug from the warehouse office, was a shape. A human shape. It was El Rubio. Leo stammered, his eyes wide and innocent. He came at me with a knife, Javi. I just pushed him. He hit his head. I didn't mean to. El Rubio was a local lowlife, a drug pusher nobody would miss. If Leo went to prison for an accident involving scum like that, it didn't seem fair. That was my first mistake. Judging who deserved to be dead before I even saw the body. Help me, Leo begged. Please, you're the only one I trust. I looked at the rug. It was still. I looked at my best friend, and I opened the back doors of my van. The drive to the Albufera wetlands usually takes 20 minutes. That night it felt like a lifetime. The back of the van was heavy, not just the weight of the suspension, but the weight of the silence. Leo sat in the passenger seat staring out at the passing streetlights, chewing his fingernails until they bled. It's going to be okay, Javi. He kept whispering, more to himself than to me. We're just fixing a mistake. Just a mistake. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. My mind was racing, trying to justify this. It was self-defense, I told myself. El Rubio pulled a knife. It was him or Leo. In my head I was already building the defense case, the excuses, the moral loopholes. I wasn't a criminal, I was a loyal friend saving a life. That's how the lie starts, you dress it up as a virtue. We pulled off the main road onto a dirt track that cut through the rice paddies. The Albufera at night is a black void. The water is still reflecting nothing, and the air smells of sulfur and stagnant mud. It's a place where secrets go to sink. Stop here, Leo commanded. We got out. The crickets were deafening. I went to the back doors and opened them. The rug lay there, motionless. It looked smaller than I expected for a grown man, but death changes the shape of things. It makes people look hollow. I reached for the edge of the carpet to get a better grip. "Let's make sure it's weighted down properly," I said, reaching for the twine around the neck area. "I want to see." "No." Leo lunged at me, grabbing my wrist. His grip was frantic, his eyes wild in the gloom. "Don't open it, Javi." "Why? I need to know if—" "You don't want to see his face, Javi? Trust me, El Rubio, it's messy. There was a lot of blood. You don't need that image in your head for the rest of your life. Just help me lift." He sounded protective, like he was sparing me the horror. I looked at him, sweating and desperate, and I nodded. I trusted him. I let go of the twine. We dragged the bundle to the edge of the irrigation canal. On the count of 3, we pushed. The splash was heavy, a dull, wet thud that seemed to echo across the entire wetland. We watched it sink into the black sludge, the bubbles rising for a few seconds before the water went still again. "It's done," Leo breathed out, his body sagging with relief. "You saved me, Javi. I owe you everything." The next 3 days were a blur of paranoia. Every time a police siren wailed past the bar, I flinched. Every time a customer looked at me too long, I thought they knew. I washed my hands 10 times a day, but I could still smell the swamp water. Leo, on the other hand, bounced back terrifyingly fast. By Thursday, he was texting me jokes. By Friday, he was posting photos on Instagram at a beach club. It made me sick, but I told myself that was just Leo. He compartmentalized things. He was moving on. I tried to do the same. Friday night at the bar is always chaos. The noise of clinking glasses, the shout of orders, the smell of fried calamari and paprika. I was behind the tap pouring a caña, trying to lose myself in the rhythm of work. The front door chimed. A group of 4 walked in, laughing loudly. I looked up to greet them, the professional smile plastered on my face. And then my heart stopped. It didn't skip a beat. It stopped dead in my chest. Standing at the end of the bar, wearing a fresh white t-shirt and clapping a friend on the back, was El Rubio. I froze, the beer overflowing the glass and spilling onto my hand. I stared at him. It had to be a ghost. It had to be a hallucination brought on by guilt. But ghosts don't order patatas bravas. "Hey, Javi!" El Rubio shouted over the music, waving a hand at me. "Give us a round of shots. We're celebrating." He was alive. Not just alive, unscathed. No head trauma, no knife wounds. He was standing there, breathing, laughing, completely unaware that he was supposed to be rotting at the bottom of the Albufera. The room started to spin. The noise of the bar faded into a high-pitched ringing in my ears. I looked at my hands, the hands that had dragged a heavy carpet-wrapped corpse into the mud 3 nights ago. If El Rubio was standing right here, if El Rubio was alive, then who was in the carpet? I felt the bile rise in my throat. I hadn't buried a stranger. I hadn't buried a thug. I had helped Leo hide a body, thinking I knew the victim, but I knew nothing. I looked down at the beer spill on the counter. It wasn't fear I felt anymore. It was a cold, dark confusion that was about to turn into horror. I picked up my phone. I needed to call Leo, but then a thought struck me, a memory of the shoes sticking out of the bottom of that carpet. And suddenly the confusion wasn't just confusion, it was panic. I left the bar. I didn't tell my staff where I was going. I just walked out the back door into the humid alleyway, clutching my phone like a lifeline. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely unlock the screen. I dialed Leo, straight to voicemail. I dialed again, voicemail. The image of El Rubio laughing in my bar was burned into my retinas. If he was alive, then the story Leo told me was a lie. All of it. The self-defense, the knife, the accident. Which meant the murder was cold-blooded. But the question that made my knees weak wasn't why Leo did it. It was who was in the carpet. I leaned against the graffiti-covered wall, trying to breathe, trying to force my brain to work through the panic. I replayed that night in the wetlands, the smell of the mud, the sound of the splash, the shape of the bundle. It had felt light. Not light exactly, but smaller than El Rubio. El Rubio was a tank of a man, wide shoulders, heavy gut. The body we carried was leaner. And then the memory hit me. It wasn't a thought, it was a physical blow to the stomach, the shoes. When we were dragging the carpet, the bottom edge had flapped open for a split second. I had seen a flash of a sneaker, a bright retro-style white sneaker with a distinct green V on the side. I knew those shoes. I had held them in my hands 3 weeks ago. I had wrapped them in blue paper. I had written a card that said, "Happy 25th birthday, little brother, keep running." My blood turned to ice. My brother, Miguel. Miguel, who had been busy with a new job all week. Miguel, who hadn't answered my texts since Tuesday, the same day Leo called me. "No," I whispered to the empty alley. "No, Leo, you wouldn't." I started running. I left my van at the bar. I didn't trust myself to drive. I ran 10 blocks to Miguel's apartment. My lungs burned, but I didn't stop until I was banging on his door. "Miguel, open up. It's Javi." Silence. I had a spare key. I fumbled with the lock, my vision blurring with sweat and tears. I shoved the door open. The apartment was dark. It smelled stale. The air conditioning was off. I flipped the switch. The place wasn't tossed. There was no sign of a struggle. It was just empty. His phone charger was still plugged into the wall. His wallet was on the counter. Miguel never went anywhere without his wallet. I walked into his bedroom. The closet door was open. I looked at the shoe rack on the floor. His work boots were there, his sandals, his old gym shoes, but the new white sneakers with the green V were gone. I sank onto the edge of his bed, the room spinning. The pieces of the puzzle slammed together with a sickening clarity. Leo had a gambling problem. Everyone knew that. But last month, Miguel had told me he lent Leo Moni a lot of money to cover a debt with some dangerous people. Miguel was soft-hearted. He looked up to Leo like a hero. He would have given him everything. Leo didn't kill a rival in self-defense. He didn't protect himself from a knife. He killed my brother because he couldn't pay him back. Or maybe because Miguel finally stood up to him and asked for the money. And then the true horror of Leo's plan revealed itself to me. He didn't just kill Miguel, he called me. He knew that if he told me the truth, I would kill him. But if he lied, if he told me it was us against the world, if he told me it was a stranger, I would help him. I would lift the body, I would drive the van. I would throw the weight into the water. He tricked me into burying my own brother. He made me an accessory to Miguel's murder. He bound me to the crime with my own loyalty. He knew that even if I found out later, I couldn't go to the police. I was the one who drove the van. I was the one who hid the evidence. My DNA was all over that carpet. I sat in the dark of my dead brother's apartment and a sound came out of me that didn't sound human. It wasn't a scream, it was the sound of something inside me breaking permanently. I wasn't the loyal friend anymore. I wasn't the bar owner. I was a monster who had put his own blood in the mud to save his brother's killer. My phone buzzed in my hand. It was Leo. "Hey brother, sorry I missed you. Everything good?" I stared at the screen. The fear evaporated, the panic vanished. All that was left was a cold, absolute silence. I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't run away. I didn't grab a gun. I texted Leo back. "Come to the bar. I have the cash for the rest of your debt. Back door is open." I knew exactly what bait to use. Greed. I drove back to the bar. The staff had gone home, the lights were off. I unlocked the door, walked behind the counter and poured 2 glasses of whiskey. Then I unlocked the back door and sat in the dark waiting. 20 minutes later, Leo walked in. He looked fresh, relaxed, wearing a button-down shirt that cost more than Miguel's rent. He smiled when he saw me, that charming, boyish smile that had fooled me for 20 years. "Javi, my man," he said, reaching for the glass. "You look like hell. Rough night?" I watched him take a sip. I watched his throat swallow. I thought about how easy it would be to smash the bottle over his head. But that was too quick. That was too merciful. "I saw El Rubio tonight," I said. My voice was flat dead. Leo froze, the glass halfway to his mouth. "What?" "He came in for a beer. He looks good for a dead man. No knife wounds, no head trauma." Leo lowered the glass slowly. His eyes darted to the door, calculating. "Javi, you're tired. You're seeing things. Stress does weird I went to Miguel's apartment, Leo." The silence that followed was heavier than the carpet we had carried. It sucked the air out of the room. Leo's face changed. The charm evaporated, replaced by something cold and reptilian. "Javi," he said, his voice dropping to a warning whisper. "Don't do this." "Where is he?" I asked. "Did you look him in the eye when you did it? Or did you hit him from behind like the coward you are?" Leo set the glass down. He took a step toward me. He was going to ruin me, Javi. He was going to talk to the wrong people about the money. I didn't have a choice, and neither do you. He pointed a finger at me, a smirk creeping back onto his face. "Think about it. Who drove the van? Who dragged the body? Who chose the spot? You're in this just as deep as I am. You go to the police, you go to prison. We are brothers, remember? Bound by blood." He thought he had me. He thought my fear of prison was stronger than my love for my brother. That was his mistake. He thought everyone was as selfish as he was. "I know," I said. I picked up my phone from the counter and turned the screen around to face him. The call timer was at 15 minutes. The line was open. "Officer," I said into the speaker, "did you get all that?" Leo's face went white. He lunged for me, but the sound of sirens cut through the night air, wailing down the street, getting louder every second. Blue lights flashed against the darkened windows of the bar. "You idiot!" Leo screamed, backing away. "You ruined your life. For what? He's already dead." "At least I won't have to share a cell with you," I said. The Polizia Nacional kicked in the front door, a distinct, violent sound that signaled the end of my life as I knew it. They put me on the floor first. I didn't resist. As they cuffed my hands behind my back, I looked at Leo. He was crying. Not for Miguel, for himself. I gave them everything, the location in the Albufera, the van, the clothes I wore. It took divers 2 days to find the bundle in the silt. When they pulled it up, I was sitting in an interrogation room, staring at a two-way mirror. The detective came in and put a photo on the table. It was the white sneaker with the green V. "We found him," he said. Leo was charged with first-degree murder. With my testimony and the recording, his defense crumbled. He got 25 years. He'll be an old man when he gets out, if he survives inside. I didn't walk away free. I was charged as an accessory after the fact and for concealment of a corpse. I got 5 years. I served 3.5 for good behavior. I'm out now. I live in a different city up north in Gijón, where the rain washes the streets clean every day. I work construction. I don't own a bar. I don't have friends. People think the punishment for a crime like mine is the prison cell. They think it's the bad food, the violence, the loss of time. But that was the easy part. In prison, I felt like I was paying my debt. The real punishment started the day I got out. Every time I close my eyes, I'm back in the wetlands. I can smell the sulfur. I can feel the weight of the carpet in my hands. And the thought that haunts me isn't that my brother is dead. It's the memory of that night in the van. I remember driving over a bump and the body shifted in the back. I remember saying, "Careful, Leo, don't let him roll." I was worried about damaging the cargo. I was careful with the body. I treated my brother like garbage to be thrown away, and I did it with a sense of duty. I walk by the ocean sometimes, looking at the water. I try to tell myself I didn't know. I try to tell myself I was tricked. But deep down I know the truth. I was so desperate to be the loyal friend, the good guy who fixes things, that I didn't bother to ask a single question until it was too late. I saved my best friend and I buried my brother. And the worst part, for a few days I was proud of how well I did it.